Hey y'all, what's going on? My name is Donyale Jones. I am the luxury realtor, and today, we're gonna do the review about Champion School of Real Estate. So I brought my books. Woo! I still have some of them. I don't have all of them, but I still have some of them, and we're gonna go through Champion School, why I went there, and just talk about the different options and all that great jazz. And then at the end, I got a little sneak peek, a little surprise for you, but staying all the way to the end. All right, so let's get into it. Real estate. I'm gonna really start at the beginning. As you have seen my previous video of why I went into real estate, and I'll have that link down below. So this is the actual school that I went to start this journey, right? I heard about other schools, online schools, sounded great, but I know what kind of learner I am. I am an independent learner, and then I'm an in-person learner. Well, since this was kind of during pandemic times, this was 2021, coming right off of everybody being housed, they kind of had started opening up. They still wasn't having anyone at the school. So you either had to do complete independent, or you could do the what they call hybrid virtual, where you would come in at home on the laptop on the computer. So me, I started off with complete independent. I had my books. I had went to the school, had to make an appointment. So you did have to make an appointment. I think now you can kind of walk in. I did have to make the appointment. I went to the one on I-10 in I-10. I think that is Highway 6. Highway 6 and I-10 is the one I went to. And I went there, made my appointment, got all my books. Here are the books, and you got this bag. So for the books, I'm missing, I think, 2, but I have promulgated contract form, so I have that, which now is an update because Texas, and I am in Texas, they updated the single family contract. So that book is outdated, so there's a new one. I have Principles of Real Estate, which gives you pretty much the basic knowledge of real estate, pretty much the history, how it was started. And then again, I'm in Texas, so all this is preferred to Texas, right? They also have Principles of Real Estate 2. They did break this up in 2 books. What is this? The Law of Contracts. Then there is, what's the other book? Appraisal. One is about appraisal, one is about finance, and then there's another book. So basically there's like 6 books. Yeah, there's 6 books because there were 6 classes that you actually had to get through and pass, right? And I'm gonna log into my account because some of this information has changed, and I wanna make sure I give you, the most accurate information as I can, right? So for me, let's see, completed. So there were, the law of agency, there's the real estate finance, real estate 2, real estate 1, law of contracts, promulgated contract forms, and then that's it. And then you can do the exam prep class if you wanted to, which I did take full advantage of. I would tell you take full advantage of it because, baby, I passed on the first try. Not the second, not the third, not the fourth. The first try, and that was after 3 weeks of studying. And that's 3 weeks after my class ended. All my classes ended. Now, it did take me 6 weeks to get through all 6 classes, so I took 1 class every week. Some people take 2 classes a week. Bless them, I'm not that girl. So I took 6 classes, 1 class every week for 2 days straight. So Monday and Tuesday is when I went. I went from 8:30 that morning to 5 o'clock that evening. There's usually like a break. It was an hour break for lunch. And then there was like, after 2 hours, there was like a 15-minute break. Now, the first class I did was, like I said, was the hybrid class. So it was complete independent, right? I don't suggest that class to nobody. Unless you just that type, I don't suggest it to nobody, because literally you have this full book by yourself. You're reading it on your own and interpreting it however you interpret it, and then having to take the test behind it with no explanations and no one to talk to. You can call the counselor, but I mean, yeah, it just wasn't a great look. I tried it, didn't work, failed miserably. So then I went to they got like the hybrid class because I was at home in front of my computer from 8:30 to 4:30, and you had to have your camera on. If your camera was not on, they clicked you out of the class and you were done. And you had to repay for that class or reschedule the class or whatever. And you had to show up on time. You only got a 10-minute grace period of not being on time. And when we came back from breaks, you only had a 2-minute grace period every time. And they would click you out or put you into another class and tell you, hey, you were late. The next time you'll be clicked out, whatever, right? So with that being said, with Champion School, and I'm just going to use this principle of real estate first. So it broke it down, and yes, I did highlight because for me, I'm one of those, I highlight and I make notes on the side. That's just how I do when I study for anything. I don't care what I'm studying for, even through grad school, that's what I did. They have various tests after each chapter. They have group tests. They have different types of, they have a test after each chapter. They have an exam, like 2 or 3 exams in the back. They also have like a national exam and a state exam as well in the books. And it also has the answers in here. So if you get their answer wrong, you'll know why they have it in here and stuff like that. So that's one thing. The teachers were amazing. These were teachers that were actually practicing. Some of them are still practicing real estate agents. Some of them were brokers. Some of them were in commercial. Some of them were in residential. I had one teacher, she was in nothing but commercial. She just told you up front, I don't deal with residential. Doesn't mean I don't know it. I just don't deal with it. I only deal with commercial. And she was just straight to the point. And then we had another teacher, he only deals with residential. He doesn't deal with commercial. He doesn't deal with condos. It was only houses. Don't ask him about apartments. Don't ask him about leases. It was only houses, which was great information for me because I didn't really have a clue where I was going. I kind of wanted to do commercial, but I still wanted to kind of dip my toe in each one to see what best works for me, right? Now, out of all of this, everything was the best, right? All of the information was great information. These are the books that I kept. I kept these books because these were the ones that was going to be most beneficial to me. Those that I know I would continuously need to go back and review. Ones that I knew that I just needed, right? So Principles of Real Estate 1 and 2, like I said, are just the basics of real estate. They tell you how it's founded. They tell you practices. They keep you track. Practices what would get you in trouble and what would not. They just really tell you how things should be ran. They even had, like this one, they had examples of leases in here. So this is an example of a residential lease. They had real contracts in here that you can go back and really go through, and they had examples and explained why that line needed to be signed. So this was something that I knew that I needed. So I did Principles 1 and 2. Preliminary contract forms, I did this one because it had all of them. I mean, from single family, residential, commercial contracts, they had townhome contracts. They even talked about in here about addendums. They had addendum contracts and why each one was what. And yes, when you sell a house, you might have a couple of addendums, as I have found out, listing and everything. And then in the contract one, there's another book full of contracts as well. And it really goes into verbiage of the contract, understanding the verbiage, not just the contract itself, but the real true intent and verbiage, which is very important because when you have to explain this stuff to your clients, you need to know what you're talking about or you're gonna be held liable too. So that's why that's why I kept these 4. The finance one, agency, I didn't keep those because one, I'm not a finance person. That's what I have. When they go for pre-approval, that's what they're there for. Any financial questions, I send that stuff over to them. If I need numbers worked up on an offer, all that, I use my finance guy. I'm not doing it. That's not my area of study. That's not my expertise. That's what you got licensed in. I'm gonna let you do it. So that's that, right? And also in the class, you're not in the class just with other people trying to be an agent. You're in the class with some brokers, because brokers also have to take these classes to keep their license up. Some people transferred from one state to another. Texas is always difficult because we don't like to take nobody else's problems in education. They always want their own. So when you transfer into Texas, a lot of times you have to redo your licenseship or add on classes and stuff like that. So a lot of people was in there, they were already brokers. Some of them was already real estate agents in other states. And yeah, there's a such thing as being a dual agent, where you can be an agent in Texas and an agent in Louisiana, Mississippi, Georgia, whatever. You can do that. And kudos to them for doing it. So that's that, right? Put this to the side. So my experience with Champion was A1 amazing, right? Like I told you, I passed on my very first try 3 weeks after finishing the whole course. So 6 weeks to take the course. I took 3 weeks to study, so that's 9. And I went ahead and went in, took my test, passed it, no problems, and got my paperwork, got signed on with my brokerage, and went to work. That was basically how I did it. With Champions, let me be very clear, they explain everything to the T. I have a friend who did the evening classes, which is 4 days a week. I did the 2, Monday and Tuesday. They have a Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, and a Friday and Saturday. I did Monday and Tuesday. Those are 2 days that I normally would be off, and I could schedule everything around those 2 days. I did study at night, so I had my books. I had class Monday and Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I made sure I read, got what I needed to get. That way, when I came to class Monday and Tuesday, I knew what was going on, not trying to read after they explain, because you lost and you don't get to ask questions. So always read before going to class. That way you can already have a synopsis of what y'all about to talk about. You have questions, you need stuff explained, you can get that explained at that time. And they even encouraged it. Also, you take tests while you're in the class. So from 8 to 4:30, you're not just listening to somebody lecture to you. They're lecturing, but you're also gonna take a test within 2 hours after they finish lecturing about that chapter. Or, and then at the end of the class, so again, I went Monday and Tuesday, so Tuesday, I think it was we'll go to lunch and then we'll come back. So from 1, maybe from 2 to 4:30 or 5, whatever it was, we were taking a test for that chapter, for that class. So you take 6 different tests for each class, plus you take the mini chapter test, right? They had a way to make sure that you weren't cheating and opening up the books and opening up other programs. Like, it was all the way legit. I totally enjoyed it. I will say this, if you're a person that have a lot of distractions, don't do this at your home. Go somewhere else. So I know one girl, she would be in Starbucks the whole time while we were in class. I had another friend, they were, where did they go? They went somewhere, and they was in the library. They was at the library the whole time we were in class. I would happen to be in my home. I don't have kids, so therefore I didn't have any distractions besides maybe me going to the refrigerator to get me something to drink or stuff like that, finding other things to do. But because I knew I was in class, I didn't have those types of distractions, and I didn't even, I could do it. So yeah, that was my experience with Champion. A1 service, if you had any questions, even after, like the process of, okay, I passed the class, now what do I do? They had a process where after you passed the class, they went ahead and said, hey, do you want to take the exam prep, or do you want to go ahead and take your exam? I will always tell people, go ahead and do the exam prep. That way you're ready they prep you for that test. They tell you kind of what to expect. They go over the math, they go over all 6 of these books. Those are going back over. They give you some practice tests and explain, hey, this is the answer and this is why. For those who are not really good at taking tests, they give you some strategies on how to do process of elimination. They give you strategies on words to look for and what certain words mean. Always a great thing, always a great thing. What else did they do? That was pretty much it. Then they set you up for your test. Once you guys go to the test, you had to take your ID, 2 forms of ID. And it was just you, the computer screen, your pencil and paper, and that was it. And you either fail or pass. I don't know what happens after you. I know if you fail, you can take it again, and you just have to reschedule it. And I think you have to take it maybe 2 weeks later or a week later. You have to have some time in between, I think. I'm not really sure. I ain't had them problems. So, yeah. So I would tell you off the top, off the rip, if you decide to go to real estate school, please do yourself a plug favor. Don't waste your money and your time on some of these other schools, because there's a lot of people who did and they end up coming back to Champion and had to spend more money. Just go to a Champion school. And even if you're not trying to be a realtor, if you're trying to be the finance, the loan, or what's it called, a loan person, the appraisal person, broker, what else did they have? And home inspection. You can go there as well. And then also they have classes to keep your SAEs and all your continuing education. They have those classes there too. So, to me, Champion was a win-win, great place to go to school, get your license, and start your career over. If you're anything like me, I'm going into a whole new career, leaving corporate, going into a new career. So start off the best way you can. Don't start off, going a cheap route. It's not really that expensive. They have one package that gives you everything at one time. You can pay for all your classes. I mean, you can't kind of beat that with a stick. So go ahead and take advantage of it. Like I said, if I was you, I would go to a Champion School of Real Estate and get my licensure versus going to some of the others. If you have any questions, I am in Texas, so I'm a licensed Texas realtor. If you have any questions about real estate or just in general about Champion School of Real Estate, or how to really get into your license, or even about a brokerage, you're more than leave a comment